Your four favorites are Frances Ha, Poor Things, Requiem for a Dream, and Nosferatu. You asked me to recommend movies that aren't on your watch list. Just to clarify, in case anyone else asks me to do that in the future, I typically don't check people's watch lists. It already takes a lot of time picking recommendations, making sure you haven't seen them, trying to explain why I picked them, and making a video. So if I check people's watch lists, that would just slow the process down even more. And I definitely don't want to slow things down because I already have so many people complaining about how long they've been waiting, and over 4,000 people requested recommendations. But more importantly, I don't think it's a bad thing if I recommend a movie that's already on someone's watch list. I have thousands of movies on mine, but if someone spends hours going through my Letterboxd and recommends a movie that they think I specifically will love, that's extra motivation to finally watch the movie instead of letting it sit on my watch list forever. With all that said, I picked out my recommendations the way I normally would, and then out of curiosity, I compared them to your watch list, and none of these movies were on there. My top choice for you is A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. It's a coming-of-age film like Frances Ha, a feminist film like Poor Things, a film about addiction like Requiem for a Dream, and a vampire film like Nosferatu. The combination of Requiem for a Dream and Nosferatu made me think about how a lot of movies use vampirism as a metaphor or an allegory for addiction, so I think you should check out The Addiction, The Hunger, Kronos, Only Lovers Left Alive, and Martin. The combination of Frances Ha and Nosferatu makes me want to recommend a coming-of-age vampire film, so I think you should check out Humanist Vampire Seeking Consenting Suicidal Person and Let the Right One In. These next two are not about vampires, but they're coming-of-age horror films that I think you'd enjoy, Raw and Bones and All. My go-to recommendations for fans of Frances Ha are Girlfriends, The Worst Person in the World, and The Green Ray. Doll is one of my top choices for fans of Poor Things. Whenever someone has a movie about addiction in their favorites, especially Requiem for a Dream, Christiana F. is one of the first films that comes to mind. In 2018, we got a pair of twin films about addiction, both starring one of the love interests in Lady Bird, which came to mind because you have a movie starring Greta Gerwig in your favorites. But you might like Beautiful Boy and Ben is Back. You wanted movies you haven't already heard of, and so far all the ones I named weren't on your watch list, but just in case those were too mainstream for you, fewer than 12,000 Letterboxd users saw these next three. Hubert Selby Jr., the author of the novel Requiem for a Dream, wrote the screenplay for the film with Darren Aronofsky, and he has a cameo in it. So I think you might appreciate the documentary Hubert Selby Jr., It'll Be Better Tomorrow, which at the time of me recording this video, only 302 Letterboxd users have seen it. Requiem for a Dream is one of two Hubert Selby Jr. novels that got a film adaptation. The other is Last Exit to Brooklyn, and Hubert Selby Jr. wrote the screenplay for the film Fear X. One more film about addiction that I think you might like since you like Requiem for a Dream is Candy. And two more movies I wanted to recommend since you like Nosferatu are Shadow of the Vampire, which is a fictionalized version of the making of the 1922 film Nosferatu, about how the director made a pact with an actual vampire to get him to star in his film. And like Robert Eggers' Nosferatu, Willem Dafoe is in it. And Lily Rose Depp drew some inspiration for her performance in Nosferatu from Isabella Gianni's performance in Possession.